Hello everyone and welcome to the second episode of Townsquare Media Jersey Shore's Ask the Mayor. Following my visit with Point Pleasant Beach Mayor Paul Canitra, I'm in Middletown today with Mayor Tony Perry to discuss current events, what's happened with the storm this week, how COVID-19 has affected Middletown, and some good things about Middletown, including how Middletown is once again ranked one of the safest cities in America. Mayor, thank you for having me here in Middletown.
Thanks for inviting me.
Of course, and I know there's some different things that have happened in 2020 that you probably didn't think would happen when the year began or even when you took the mayor's seat.
Yeah.
But challenges here are within, and certainly this past week with Tropical Storm Isaias.
Yeah.
A lot of power outages, even this morning, Friday morning here with, I think, somewhere 80 to 90,000 across Ocean and Monmouth. And I think most of that in Monmouth County alone. A lot of power outages, a lot of trees down. A lot of people that are unhappy, especially with a storm like this happening when it's pretty hot outside. So, and you got to get rid of food and everything else. So, how has the power outages situation, how has the storm affected Middletown on Tuesday and in the days that have followed Tuesday? So, where are things at currently?
Yeah, so we started out on Tuesday at 97% of our town was out of power. And you know that's pretty daunting when you take a look at the outage map. You look at 97% and you think this is going to take days to recover from. And right now we're sitting at about 37% of our town is still without power. I'm one of those people. But you know, listen, there's a lot of folks out there, a lot of DPW crews, our police, our fire, and the JCPL crews themselves from all different states, right, who have to change the way they operate due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And I appreciate everyone's frustration, right? I took another cold shower again this morning. But, you know, you have to understand that, you know, these aren't outlets that we're dealing with. These are high tension, you know, high voltage lines that are getting tangled up into trees. And it takes time to cut them out and restore that power. Do I wish that the power was turned back on already? Of course I do.
Right.
And you know what? There's a time and a place that's going to come where we need to do a postmortem with JCPL to discuss how they can do better. But you know, right now when I still have 10,000 houses out of power, it's a little cheap to start hitting them. You know, let's have our crews have their crews safely restore everyone's power, get back out there, and you know, in the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we can begin to have a conversation about how we can all work together a little bit better, and how JCPL can respond in a more timely fashion, and what we as elected officials need to be able to communicate to our residents.
You know, I know JCPL has broadly discussed that some people may get power back tonight, this weekend, and in some cases not till 11:30 p.m. next Tuesday. So I know that's going to bother some people. I'm sure JCPL has taken a lot of customer complaints and heat for that.
No question about that.
for those residents still out of power and have had to throw stuff out of the refrigerator and freezer, are there places open, charging stations or cooling stations or anything available for residents to kind of get through the next few days, or even if they have power back and have had to get rid of stuff, food-wise, about places they can go for a little bit of assistance in the interim? Yeah,
so we do have... We've had 2 cooling stations and charging stations open in our town. One is right here at Town Hall, obviously, and the other one is our senior center, which is in Leonardo. Folks can go there and utilize the air conditioning and the electricity there to charge all their electronic devices and be able to stay cool at the same time. Fortunately, we were able to work with JCPL and Saker ShopRites, who I'm very grateful for, to open up an additional location for free water and free ice to try and keep anything that's in their freezer and refrigerator cool enough to withstand the amount of time without power. So, you know, our OEM has been, wonderful in terms of opening up resources that are able to give folks a little bit of charge on their cell phones and their iPads and computers. Because the one thing that a lot of people, that we've never really had to deal with was a lot of people are working from home. And without internet, without electricity, very difficult to work from home, right? So fortunately, we were able to have these locations open. They all have Wi-Fi in them, and people are able to work there and utilize, obviously, the cooling station and charging station simultaneously.
Has anything that's happened with Tropical Storm Isaias, either beforehand in preparation and certainly what's happened afterward, affected maybe what you could end up doing in future storms? I know the NOAA just came out, I believe it was yesterday, and kind of upped the amount of storms that they're predicting for the rest of this hurricane season. So if we get another storm like Isaias or something worse or something along those lines, are you prepared, tree-wise, power-wise, anything else that you would normally do to prepare for a storm, to do anything differently? Would you do it the same if another storm kind of like this hits?
So, 2 days before the tropical storm came through, we were meeting, preparing, getting ready for what Middletown could do. And, there's always a fine line that you have to justify between JCP&L and your power company, and then what the township can do.
Right.
And obviously, we're very prepared. Since Superstorm Sandy, Middletown has been bringing itself up to where we find an acceptable standard that says, in the event of another Superstorm Sandy, what can we do better? How can we get better? And over the course of these 8 years, Middletown has gotten better. We have the necessary number of generators to ensure that we're able to provide people with, like, the cooling stations and the charging stations. That was one of the big things on October 29th, 2012. I can picture it perfectly still, was what things were we not able to accomplish on that day and in the days and weeks following Superstorm Sandy that we're able to today. Think about this. Most of Middletown was out of power after Sandy for 14 days. Okay, we had a presidential election that year where people were walking into places being powered by generators. It was a mess.
Yeah.
And it's always imperative to look back and see, what did you do well, what did you not do well, and be honest with yourself. Because, listen, talk is cheap, and politicians often find themselves falling down this rabbit hole of pointing the finger. But you know what? Leaders need to lead. And if you're not willing to do that and you just want to point the finger, then you don't deserve to sit in the seat that you are. And whether it's Superstorm Sandy or this storm, I have problems with some of the finger pointing that occurred. Like I said earlier, there's a time and a place for that.
Right.
Today and the last few days are not the right time for that. It's easy to say, what is JCP&L doing? But come 4 o'clock today, it'll be 36 hours. It'll be 3 days. My days are getting confused. I've been sitting in here for so long. It's been a long week. I forgot today was Friday. But, it'll be 3 days come 4 o'clock today since we've lost power. 70%, a little less than 70% of your town has come back online. It's not perfect, but it's better than the 2 weeks that most people were sitting after Superstorm Sandy, right? Again, it's not perfect, but bring me to the table. I'll be the first elected official at that table, willing to work together with JCP&L on how we can better respond and work collaboratively as a municipality and as a utility.
Now, one of the things you touched on with the response by JCP&L and everything else in the last few days is that, we're still in the middle of a pandemic here, which with everything else going on in 2020, I think sometimes gets forgotten that there's been a pandemic going on for most of the year. So how, you could touch on the response to the storm, but certainly over the course of the entire year, how has the pandemic affected Middletown? Not just, case-wise, but from how you do things, what can be open, what can't be open, what people can and can't do, wearing face coverings, social distancing, how you've conducted council meetings, what your budget could be looking like, maybe more so for next year's budget and maybe the year after that. So how has COVID-19 affected Middletown so far?
Well, when I was selected to be the mayor again this year by my colleagues on the township committee, I set a pretty ambitious agenda, and I always laugh because, I think the best thing that you can do as a leader is to surround yourself with smarter people than you, right? People who understand niche things, engineers, administrators, folks that you can rely on, folks that are able to get the word out. You know, your communications team, your health department, your CFO. All those people, you want to surround yourself and make sure that they're smarter than you, because you get to set the tone and the pathway, but these are the folks who are going to advise you on that, on things that you didn't think of. Because being mayor and being part of a township committee it's not an I sport, it's a we sport, right? Because we all work together. And if you believe that this is just about you, then you're in the wrong business. And we don't need any more people that think that politics is an I sport, because it's not. It's always imperative to get feedback from your residents, feedback from other towns, from the freeholders. I call Tom Arnone almost every single day. I'm on the phone. Sean Golden's called me twice since we started this interview, you know? So it's just one of those things where we all have to work collaboratively together. But I set forth a very ambitious goal when we first began the year. And, you know, I'm very fortunate to be the mayor of a town with incredible people, with an incredible administration that is able to continue to do the things that we put forth in January when no one had even heard of COVID-19. We're still doing those things. I'm not slowing down, and neither is anyone here in Middletown. And I think that's a testament to the people that we have working here. And, you know, there's always, it's like I said, it's always easy to throw stones, right? But it's another thing to step up and lead. And it's not just me. It's every single person that walks into this building has a part of that leadership. And when we can all work together, and I know that it starts at the top with me, but, you know, my biggest flaw is that I'm one of the most impatient human beings on the face of this planet. I want things done, and I want them done today. But you know what? In time, good things happen. And what we're doing this year, you know, this year alone, despite COVID, we've closed on a piece of property that has plagued one of our downtown districts for decades. It has sat there vacant, destroying the picturesque view of the historic Campbell's Junction. And we've purchased that property, and we are about to build one of the only veterans-only housing authorities in the state of New Jersey. So it's going to be an all-affordable housing unit for members of the United States military who have fought and served for this country. They're going to be the only ones that are able to live in this facility. And, you know, when we withdrew mid last year in 2019 from the unfair and ridiculous practices of fair share housing and the affordable housing mandates that are dictated by a nonprofit group that only has an incentive to build more houses, I promised those most in need that Middletown would not turn their backs on them, that Middletown would continue to work and to develop in a smart way, the ability for those individuals who need that assistance, who need that prop up, who struggled, you know, in life and are just looking for a way to get that leg up. I'm not turning my back on those people. You know, there's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. So when we decided to withdraw from the affordable housing process, we committed to continuing the effort of ensuring that people would have a safe place to live and a great place to live. You know, Middletown is one of the best places to live, work, and raise a family. We're consistently rated that across the board every single year. And you know what? We're providing those who are in need of assistance that same ability.
You know, one of the things that was discussed at a recent committee meeting, a referendum for an open space tax that voters will be able to see on the ballot later this year. So explain to me how that, what voters could be voting for,
Sure.
How would it affect residents and businesses and everything here in Middletown come November and in the months to follow.
Yeah. So, you know, one of the big hot topics when I first got onto the township committee was development and redevelopment. And like I said, we're like we're taking this Campbell's Junction property and turning it into a veterans only housing. We decided to place a referendum on the ballot and give the people the ability to vote to decide whether or not they wanted to increase the Middletown open space tax, which currently sits at 2 pennies per $100 of the assessed value. Now that sounds very confusing. I know it is, but right now the average assessed value of a Middletown home is $447,069. Okay, so that's the average assessed value. On that, you spend about $89 of your tax dollars go to this open space fund, and that fund is utilized by Middletown to purchase development rights on different pieces of property, whether outright or to make improvements to our facilities. Mm-hmm. It's those three biggies that we're allowed. But the beautiful thing is that it's dedicated to doing that. It cannot go into a slush fund to be spent on other things. It has to be about purchasing and maintaining open space. So what we allowed was we passed a resolution to increase that by 1 penny. So it would go from 2 cents to 3 cents per hundred. So it would be the person with the average assessed value would go from about $89 to $117. So, okay. But what that will do is it will generate just over $1 million extra per year in funds that we're then able to go out there and purchase property across town. Middletown's not gaining any more land anytime soon, right? We're pretty set in the land that we have. So, I'm not taking over Homedale. So, I have to be able to acquire property to preserve it. Mm-hmm. That quality of life factor, that best place to live, work, and raise a family is not by accident. But back in 1998 was the first time that the open space tax was created by the voters. It was then raised in 2002. And for the last 18 years, it has sat there and it has not been raised since. Yet developers are running into Middletown trying to gobble up properties all across town, and that only increases the value of these properties. So we're at a competitive disadvantage when it comes to that. So I need to be able to have that advantage to go and talk to homeowners who don't want to see Middletown be built up. I need to go to these folks that own these farms and talk to them and see if they're willing to sell us the development rights to these to this land. So it's so important. I can't wait to cast my vote in the affirmative for the increase in the open space. As a resident of this town, as somebody who loves this town more than anything, I want to be able to pass along to my children and to their children the Middletown that I love. Mm-hmm. And I can't do that unless I'm able to secure the farmland, to upgrade our beaches and everything in between those two. And that's why it's so important, and that's why I hope the public votes yes on that question.
And speaking of the safe community, you guys in Middletown were ranked in a different poll this time around, I believe last week, by SafeWise as one of the 100 safest cities in America.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you personally as the mayor? What does that say about the businesses and the residents here in Middletown that have gotten this recognition, not just once, but again, that This is a place, this is a good community for such a large municipality. Yeah. There's a lot of good things that do come out of Middletown. Yeah,
we're a 42 square mile town with 70,000 people in it, and it's a testament to the people. You're absolutely right, to the people, to the businesses, but most importantly to the men and women of the Middletown Police Department. We have a great leader in our Chief Craig Weber, who is one of the most honorable individuals I've ever met in my life. And between him, all of our 3 deputy chiefs, John Kaiser, Bob Stefanski, and Paul Bailey, and then every single person that comes in between the ranks there, it's an honor to work with them each and every day. Mm-hmm. It really is. And, we're so fortunate to live in a town where people care so deeply about our rich history and our rich heritage that they're willing to do whatever they have to fight for it. And our police are just some of the finest individuals that I've ever had the pleasure of working with. And, this is my second year being mayor, And for the second year in a row, we've been rated one of the best places and safest towns in America. And, I owe it all to them. Our police department doesn't do it for the accolades. They don't do it for the medals. They don't do it for the recognition, because that's not their job. But it's my job as the mayor, and it's our job as a township committee to ensure that the public understands what a wonderful effort and job that the men and women of our police department are doing day in and day out.
And you've certainly faced a lot of challenges as mayor this year alone, but I mean, there's a lot of ambition, like you said.
Are you saying I look older than last time we met, or?
No, not at all.
I feel it.
Although this year, I think all of us have aged a few years. There's going to be a lot of books coming out in the next 10, 20 years about everybody's experiences in 2020.
I'm not writing any of them.
Neither am I. I'll have somebody else write it. But a lot of things you've done, ambitious. Like you said, you're impatient. You want action. You want things now.
Yeah.
And you're also, I taught Point Pleasant Beach Mayor Paul Knuchin is the youngest mayor in Ocean County.
Yeah.
You're the youngest mayor in Monmouth County, and actually, I believe you were saying before we got on camera, is the second youngest mayor in the state.
Mayor of Lambertville, yeah. Julia Fell.
So people give, the millennial generation, our generation, a lot of bad rep for some of the things that other people do that are not so wise. But here we are leading the charge as millennials. So, what do you want to continue to do in Middletown to, for the generation here, but for the residents of Middletown, for the Monmouth County area, in helping make this place, a place to be for years to come for not just residents in Middletown, but people outside of Middletown, outside of Monmouth County.
Sure. Well, I'm very honored to work alongside of and across party lines. Most importantly, is Paul and I are the same party. Julia is another party. But what's important is, and I tell students this most importantly all the time, and young people, is that I don't care what political party you come from. I really don't. What I care about is, if you believe what you're doing, or what the beliefs that you hold so close is what's right for your town, right for your community, your county, your state, your country, then go out there and be a part of the process. And I've really tried to stress the importance of young people my age, millennials in general, about becoming involved and be a part of the process. It's very easy for someone to be keyboard tough. Very easy. However, being a part of the process is a lot harder. Mm-hmm. And you can change things. Just in this office alone, what we have done, the improvements that we've made about the process, about getting folks involved, getting them to understand what it takes, has been a big part. And, just be a part of the process. Understand the process. Understand where we've been and where we're going. And vote for the person that shares your vision for the future. Your vision for Middletown, your vision for New Jersey. Because that's so important. And, when you walk into that voting booth, or when you vote by mail, be proud to check the person's name. Don't think about it as just, here's the Republican candidates, here's the Democratic candidates, here's the candidate in column 6 who stands no chance, right? It doesn't matter about their chances for success. It matters about whether or not you're happy of the vote you're casting. So I don't care who is the endorsed Republican candidate,
right,
or the Democratic candidate, mm-hmm, or that candidate in column 6. Doesn't matter to me. But know that when you hit that button on that machine, or when you seal that envelope up, know that you voted for the person that you really want representing you, whether it be for President of the United States or as a member of your town council. But one thing that we are doing, specific to Middletown, is our Belford redevelopment project. And the Belford Co-op has been a project that many township committees have been working on. They never quite found the right timing to do it. But we are full throttle, and we're moving forward. And so this is over by the Belford Ferry Terminal, and it's an unbelievable partnership, I have to tell you, because it's a partnership between the town, the county, the ferry operator, mm-hmm, as well as the local fishermen. So it's a combination of all these individuals all trying to redevelop an area that was devastated in Superstorm Sandy, and it could be the crown jewel for Middletown. Everybody always talks about Hoboken and Jersey City, and I'm tired of hearing about Hoboken and Jersey City because what they did was phenomenal. But I have something that they don't have. They both have skyline views, but I got a view of the water and of the bay and of Sandy Hook, and I got a view of New York City.
Nice views.
So it is. So what we're trying to do is redevelop that area to make it a destination for people to come, to support our local fishermen, and support our businesses here in Middletown. 90% of Middletown's tax dollars come from our residents, our homes, and only 10% come from our businesses. And I always think about this because it's an unbelievable statistic for a town to be 42 square miles, have Route 35 and Route 36, 2 parkway exits, and only 10% of our tax dollars come from businesses. That's unbelievable. And to me, anytime I have the opportunity to move just 1 percentage point from that 90% to the 10%, and take our tax dollars away from our residents and over to businesses, that's not me saying, boy, I can't wait to tax businesses.
Right.
Because when a business decides to open, that's not just them being successful. That's people being employed in our area. That's construction companies being employed, electricians, plumbers. And then the residents now have a place that they can go and spend their money. And that's going to employ the people who work in this small business. And it's only going to grow Middletown's brand. And, I can sit here and talk about safest cities and all this stuff, but you have to be business friendly. You have to be business oriented because the economic success of Middletown depends on our small businesses. And I sit there with Tom Arnone, who's a big business advocate and has done so much for our businesses here in Middletown and in Monmouth County. And I emulate him in a lot of ways, and I learn from him in a lot of ways about how we can care for our businesses. But the Belford redevelopment project, Route 35, Route 36, these are all business corridors. And, the economic success of those entities is the economic success of Middletown. And when we're able to grow business and we're able to have more people employed and we're able to grow the tax base, that only helps the property taxpayer. It only helps the individual sitting in their house thinking, the cost of everything is going up. Right? How am I going to keep up?
Right.
And the way we can do that is by growing our tax base, bringing in new businesses, and we're very proud of all the new businesses that are coming into town, right now, even with COVID-19. And ShopRite, Saker ShopRite is making a huge investment and moving right across the street on Route 35 to the old Sears the old Sears building. And you think about it, that could sit there as a white dinosaur for decades. And I appreciate the efforts of Rich Saker and the Saker team, the ShopRite team, to take that over and build a new state-of-the-art shopping center. So, you just drive up and down Route 35, Route 36, and you see the investments that are coming from Middletown. And that's because of the fiscal discipline we make every decision from here in Middletown. And because of the long-standing history we have of working with our businesses. We have a great economic development committee led by Abe Littenberg, who has a business right on Route 36. Every piece of Jersey Mike's bread comes right from Middletown, New Jersey. It's all baked right here, right on Route 36. An amazing shout out to them.
Great subs.
You got it. But we need to expand that, and Abe has taken that on, and I appreciate his efforts to make that work.
Mayor Perry, thanks for taking out some time today to discuss how the town is recovering from Tropical Storm Isaias, COVID-19, and preparing for an even greater, brighter future in Middletown. That it's a safe community, a successful community, and that people will always want to come in and through Middletown for years to come. And thanks for being a good representation of our millennial generation here.
Thank you very much. Great to be here. Great to be with you, Ben. Thank you.
That's Middletown Mayor Tony Perry. Make sure you download our Townsquare Media Jersey Shore family of apps, 92.7 WOBM, 94.3 The Point, 105.7 The Hawk, and Beach Radio 104.1 FM. Stay tuned for the announcement of our next episode of Ask the Mayor on our Facebook page, on our website, on air, and online. For Middletown Mayor Tony Perry, I'm Vin Ebenau. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.